Yeah, I've been playing in wmgp recently, so I'm gonna go through my games because they're pretty good. This is Snake Eye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is the first game that I played. We're gonna analyze it. Okay. So this is my hand. With this hand, it's got a lot of bricks. It's pretty bad hand, all things considered. But it does have a couple of plays. So you can start with normal summon kit, or you can start with Shrouded to draw a card. Because we have the Branded Lost and the Retribution, the Shrouded is actually like really good as an extender. So what we can do is normal summon kit, and then if it gets stopped, we can summon the Shrouded from hand with the Retribution and make Verte. And that's pretty strong because we also have Branded Lost, which is going to get us like a Mercuria. So we have a pretty strong endboard if that happens. And if the kit does resolve, we can just get Branded Fusion, put back something like the Tragedy, and then we have Branded Lost plus Branded Fusion, which is pretty strong. So that's how we're going to play this. I'm going to start with Activate the Lost, by the way. This is something I said a few streams ago. Activating Branded Lost hard drawn, when you draw it, if you activate it right away, it gives you good insight onto the toggles. So if there's nothing immediately in response to this, you know that there's probably not Maxi or Fua. So here we get Veiled, which means we can go for our backup plan. So this is just Mirror Jade. Whenever you do Verte, you always get like 2 disruptions because the Albaz is in the graveyard. So we have Rinbrum Fuse plus Mirror Jade Banish. And the Lost is going to get Mercuria here. The reason we're getting Mercuria, we can't get Shrouded to pair with the Retribution because we've already used it. And we might as well get the Negate now. Even though we're going to fuse on our opponent's turn, we can get the Golden Sword Soul on their turn. Might as well get the Negate now. There's nothing better to search. So opponent starts with this, Deception. I don't know if it's going to be Snake Eye or White Forest at this point. More likely to be White Forest, but I'm not interacting with it. If they had made Silvera here, that's pretty weak, right? Because Silvera, they used their Hallowed to summon the Silvera, and it gets forced by Mirror Jade. It can't attack over Mirror Jade, it can't do anything. So I wasn't afraid of doing anything. Would you ever consider going Sanct from Verte? I don't think so. If I'm playing it, it's definitely going to come up at some point. Like if you have Verte lines where you have like a branded in white as well, so you could end on Mirror Jade and then also Verte for Sanctifier, that would be fine. But because Verte leaves Albaz in the graveyard, you already have Rinbrum to revive Albaz, and that's the main benefit of Sanctifier. So I don't see the reason to go Sanctifier, really, because it's just the same thing but more awkward. Right? You have Sanctifier, you revive Albaz, fuse something away into Mirror Jade, and then banish. And if they have Cold Buy, you lose both disruptions. Whereas with Mirror Jade, if they have Cold Buy for the Rinbrum, you still get the banish. So it's just a bit better in every way. Anyway. So I decided to negate this because This usually gets wanted, which is going to be an extra draw as well as a play, so I just decide I will negate this. Your opponent's name is basically the chicken in Spanish? Okay, that's pretty funny. They have the best normal summon, Sylvie. And then they make Baron. I knew that they could make Baron here. The reason I thought it was fine is because Baron doesn't actually progress any plays. And the card that they searched, this also doesn't progress plays. So if they committed their monsters into Baron, I was happy with that. I would just banish it with the Mirror Jade, they would negate, and that would be the Baron dealt with. And then we would still have the Render. I do it on summon because I don't want them to pop Branded Loss with the Ignition effect. Because I want to get the search. I want to search for my Golden Sword Soul. So we use the Mirror Jade, and then we use the Rin Room right away. Right away again, so that they don't pop the Branded Lost. So now we have a second Mirror Jade. And we search for our attack negate. I put it in defense position because of talents. I don't want to get killed by it. And they just pass. What they could have done is activate the Hallowed, discarded this, and then summon Sylvia. But Sylvia again doesn't threaten Mirror Jade. We just force it immediately. It can't attack, so... They do nothing, and then we just basically win here. I use the Retribution in the end phase because I might use the second one on my next turn. And they were definitely going to lose from that position. Okay, so then we side for game 2. I expect to be going second against White Forest. So what I basically did was side in as many hand traps as I could. Because that is an FTK going first. And this is what we draw. Maxi, so we're basically just hoping it resolves. The hand is fine, but it's nothing special. If they do full combo and negate the Maxi, we would definitely lose this. Unless we drew like Super Poly or Droplets or something. Hello, April. Hello. Hello, hello. And they drew combo, so they're gonna stop playing. And we drop the Maxi, and they don't have an out. So this game you might think is really straightforward. We just Maxi and win, but that is not true at all. This is the coolest of all the games that I'm gonna show. This game is actually really crazy. So they decide to keep cooking. Obviously they're gonna draw a card. But yeah, they're gonna search. A lot of players would just set the impermanent pass, but this opponent chose not to. And I think it's pretty smart, the way they played this. So they discard the Paradise with Diabell, which is pretty cool. We draw a double Droll here, which is really bad. These do nothing. And they just keep cooking. So now they have the White Forest trap that we have to deal with, plus Imperm, plus Paradise, and they also play this. So they searched for Azamina Debtors. This card is just Hallowed, but it's quick play, so they can summon something on my turn. If any of you guys know White Forest pretty well, you'll know that there is a particular card that this deck sometimes plays that is secretly really, really obnoxious and really, really hard to deal with. Yo-Yo April, one innocent question. Is Gizmek Uka into Ecclesia into Albaz good in this meta? Yeah, it's good, because Fiendsmith is everywhere. Whether or not you want to main deck it, I'm not so sure. But we have a lot of cards, okay? So we have a lot of cards here. So this shouldn't be too hard to win. Surely. Oh. Drake XD, thank you. Thank you for subbing. Good work on the branded duels breakdown videos. They're really instructive. Thank you. Okay, so I start with Lubellion. The reason why I want to get the Saronia right away is just so that we can always trade if they choose to use one of these graveyard effects. I don't ever want the game to get into a position where they have follow-up. Because if I fail to break this board, I want them to not have like follow-up, so I just decided to get the Bestial first. It's also going to be a high spirits target. Pretty likely, so. Then we decide to draw a card, and I send Albaz because I have this branded in red, hard drawn. So this is going to give me an option of making something without branded fusion. We draw Aliber, which is a crazy draw. Next we play Branded Lost. The sequencing is important because now that we've seen our draw, we want to just break the board efficiently. Branded Lost is extremely forcing. Chances are they're going to try to do something about it. And they do. They flip the trap. They make Diabell here. So then I go for Deployment. Now Deployment has two options. We can summon either Albaz or Cartesia. We don't have access to Cartesia yet, so it would make sense to summon Cartesia. But we technically can access Cartesia with Goldsock or High Spirits. So what I actually do here is I choose to go for Albaz, and they decide to chain. I was going to go Albaz anyway, but when I saw that they chained, I decided it was definitely time to go Albaz. Because they're going to summon Sylvie. Sylvia, right? Or Silvera. Yeah, it's called Silvera. If we'd summon Cartesia here, this is going to activate as a trigger effect. And then the Cartesia doesn't do anything. If we chain it in response, whatever we summon is just going to get flipped. Whereas if we go Albaz, Albaz will still resolve one flipped face down. So this is definitely the best target to summon now. We discard one of the dead draws, and now they chain, and then the hope here is that they don't realize how this resolves. Right? This card only flips my monsters, so everything will resolve as normal, because you can still fusion with face downs. So even though they have Imperm, I didn't know about the Imperm, but I was thinking to myself, if they have an Imperm, then they would have to know to use it. Because if they don't use it, they're gonna get punished. So that card's trigger. I'm not interested in Bestialing this, because one, I don't want my Bestial to get flipped for no reason. And two, I'd rather Bestial the Sylvie, right? When they try to summon this back. So this flips and we still get to make Mirror Jade. Why do I make Mirror Jade instead of Albion? Is because I don't know this last back row. One of these, we know two of them. We know these two. We know this one now as well, but there's one mystery back row here. So I'm just trying to play my best into it, and summoning the Mirror Jade is just, it's a solid checkpoint, right? Even if they stop us on the rest of our stuff, Mirror Jade is just good on its own. So I decided to summon the Mirror Jade instead of Albion. Albion can be impumped because the Albaz was... actually the Albaz was chaining one, so Albion couldn't be impumped. But I decided to still go Mirror Jade. So here we get the Cartesia, which we can now summon. This is where I use the Bestial. They decide to deny my bestial by using the... Oh no, they don't deny it, they just chain the Russia. They decide to use Paradise here, and I think this is really weird. Using the Paradise now, when I have Quick Play Cartesia, seems a little strange. But they decide to force it, so we just chain. And then they chain Imperm. So this is fine. We now know that there is no mystery back row. We know the hand, we know everything. The only thing I didn't know, because I'm not a White Forest expert, is what this can summon. In my head, I was thinking to myself, this is an Omni negate, right? This just lets them summon Sylvia. This lets them summon Sylvia, and they can negate one of my cards. I wondered why they didn't do it early, because I thought maybe they wanted to negate Branded Fusion. They're gonna wait for me to search it and then flip it, which is reasonable. But I didn't actually realize what the plan was for this card. I decided to use the Gold Sock again. Here we go for Merc. I'm just trying to bait this Omni negate. It's an Omni search or send from field to graveyard. Yeah, it's also something else. Here I go for Kit. I'm just trying to bait the Omni negate. What I'm trying to do here is Spatial Summon the Kit, search for Branded in White, and then Branded in White would force this Omni negate, right? If they didn't use it, we would just pop it with Chaos, and then we would normal summon the Alibor and do Branded Fusion. They decide to flip this now, which is reasonable, and they make Guardian Chimera. I think this is maybe a misplay by me. I think I didn't need to allow this to happen, because this is going to draw a card, and I had already eliminated all the unknowns, so I feel like giving them a draw was just unnecessary, but it's not the end of the world. I decide to chain because they're going to pop my Mirror Jade. We banish Chimera because it's big. 3300 defense is not trivial for Branded to get over. And they do draw a hand trap, which is pretty lucky, but it's not the end of the world. I send Branded Sword so that I can get access to my Omni negate, or my Monster negate. So now I feel like we can't lose, because they have not yet flipped their trap. Their spell, sorry. The spell only summons an Omni negate, and we can negate whatever they negate, and then just OTK. It's that easy. So now I decide to get the Branded Fusion. This was the last chance where I expected them to flip the trap, or the spell, sorry, I keep calling it a trap. I expected them to flip it now. They just dropped the draw, and when they still didn't summon it, I was very confused. So, a couple of things here. We sent the Golden Sword Soul with Branded Fusion because we'd already used Lubellion. So, we'd already got Lubellion in the graveyard. That lets us summon back Cartesia when we banish with the Albion. April Showers, I love you, thank you. Thank you. Why did they hold on to it so long? Oh, you're gonna see. You're gonna see why they held on to it. There's something that I'm critically missing. This was a mistake in hindsight. I should not have made Chaos here. I probably shouldn't have even made Lubellion. What I should have made was Rindbrum. And I decided to pop the monsters because they're in my way, and I just want to attack for game. At this point, if they flip and summon the negate, I can just attack over it and it's still easily lethal. So I figured we just win the game here. But what I forgot about was that this is also a card that they could summon. So this card says, your opponent cannot target it, or their own cards in their banishment or field or graveyard with card effects. So it's also 4k defense, and it can summon another one for free. Yeah, you guessed it. This card is actually really hard to beat. First of all, it's 4k, we can't attack over it, and we have already used this Mirror Jade. Remember, we banished Chimera. We can negate the effect to summon, but we don't care about that. We don't care that we can negate it. The problem is we can't get over this. So I basically have no choice but to just set and pass. We get our Retribution. The reason I go Retribution here is because I don't know how to deal with this. Banishment cannot be used, right? Because it targets a card in my graveyard. Branded in red can't be used here, because it also targets. The only removal we have that doesn't target is Mirror Jade. But this Mirror Jade can't be used, because it's not once per turn, right? It's once per 2 turns. So we messed up. They decide to summon, they have to do it in my end phase because it's only on the turn it summons, and we negate it. Now we have our Titaniclad. Now what I should have done here is summon Albaz. We've already resolved Albaz, so we can't fusion with this turn. But what I can do is summon that Albaz, then on my opponent's turn, use Cartesia, fuse away the Albaz and the Mirror Jade, into Lubellion. Lubellion then summon the second Mirror Jade, and we can banish it. That's what I should have done. However, I summon Quem because I have a better plan. And when I say better, I mean worse. I thought I could out this by using Cartesia to fuse away the Mirror Jade into Grand Guignol, which we haven't used yet. And then Quem can revive the Mirror Jade. Pretty basic, right? That's pretty normal for Branded. Pretty normal play. But it doesn't work because Quem targets. So this play does not work. So they get to reset that card here. Look at these draws, by the way. Top deck Engraver and Estella. So I decide to go for my plan right now, because I want to get rid of this Saint Azamina. I summon my Grand Guignol, and then there's no trigger for my Quem. I'm like, what the heck? Why can't I revive? So I end up just summoning this, and I send Garura. Why do I send Garura? Because I don't have a way to win. I actually just cannot win here. Because Saint Azamina also has another effect. This card says, your opponent takes any battle damage you would have. So, at this point, all they have to do is switch this to attack, summon this 0 attack Sylvie, attack into my Lubellion or my Praskinian, and I just lose. I just instantly lose. Right? That would be 6,400 damage with this. And then with the Engraver, it would be... yeah, it would be lethal. Right? Would that be lethal? Not quite. That's not quite lethal. It's very close to lethal, but anyway, they could just summon more monsters. They just need to summon 3 monsters, attack into the Lubellion. I draw Nibiru though, which is one of the best cards I could have drew. Yeah, so they just get to summon this other 0 attack monster, so they have easily lethal. for whatever reason, they decide to keep cooking. They decide to keep cooking. They make this Baron. Baron can negate Nibiru, which is pretty scary. I let them pop the branded in red because it doesn't matter. And then what they try to do is end the main phase. They try to end the main phase. What I can do here is... Actually, I didn't even notice this. They forgot to switch the Azamina to attack. I think they tried to end the main phase. Maybe they didn't. I'm pretty sure they tried to end the main phase. But if they did, I should have just let them. Because this is not lethal. Right? 6-4, 6-4. And then 13 over the kit. That's 100 life points. Okay, I should have let them. I should have let them go battle phase. But what I decided to do here is use the Praskinian to try and bait the Baron. And for some inexplicable reason, they use it. I'm targeting a Sylvie, which... Okay, granted this card does force the Baron. Because this card triggers on special summon. So, granted they could have just negated the Sylvie. If you flip Deception, it's game. What does Deception do? Oh, right. True. This effect would make it game. Very true. So yeah, technically, I guess this is all correct, right? They had it lethal. They had lethal. And they have to negate the Praskinian because the Silvera forces the Baron. So they negate my Praskinian. And now we get to Nibiru at the end of the main phase. Wasn't there another level 4 tuner in the graveyard to dodge? What do you mean by that? You're right. This Russia was in the graveyard. Yeah, there is this Russia here, which can be used. I guess Russia already activated? Oh, right. Well, there isn't another one then. It's the only one. So it was all fine. It was all correct so far. I definitely think they could have not summoned 5 times, right? They could have just threatened lethal with the Baron and the 2 summons, maybe? Maybe there was not a line. Since Praskinian can revive this, maybe there was never a line. Maybe they had to play into the Nibiru. Maybe. So they put the Saint Azamina back in the extra deck, which I'm terrified of. Because I hate that card. I don't want to see it ever again. And I just decide I'm going to negate this. Because they haven't done their Fiendsmith engine yet. Right? There is no... They haven't been through Caesar or Desiree or anything like that. So I decide to just negate this. Instead of waiting for sequence, because they can summon Engraver, and then Engraver can send Nibiru. I don't want them to do that. So I'm just going to negate this. We get to recycle our pieces. And they should be passing turn here. This can crash and search, which is a pretty nice effect. But there's nothing really to gain from this. I guess they can summon the Saint Azamina again. Yeah. So they do summon the Saint Azamina again. And this can summon the Sylvia. But this one is a lot easier to deal with. Because we have access to just branded fusion again. Right? So we can normal summon Alibra, search our second branded fusion. And then we just Mirror Jade it. Right? We have Mirror Jade. So this one's not a problem. We have to beat the Omni Negate. They negate the Cartesia, I guess. I don't really know why they negated the Cartesia, but I guess it's because the Nibiru forces it anyway. If we wanted to just go battle phase, we attack over it. Hey April, I'm finally getting into Branded. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you like the resources. Is Sanctifier mandatory to play? No, it is not. I actually don't play Sanctifier. I usually don't play it anymore. Yeah, so they negate my Cartesia, which is fine. They don't actually know about this Aliber, right? Because we drew it with our Shrouded last turn, and we never got a chance to normal summon it, because our kit resolved. So they don't know that we have this. They know we have this, and they know we have a top deck. So they were probably really mad when they see us normal summon Aliber. They probably thought we top decked it, but we didn't. We knew we had it all along. And I get Branded in white here just so that I can banish the Mercuria. It's even stronger than Branded Fusion. Now we can Branded Fusion with the Shrouded after removing the Saint Azamina. We banish it, now we can use Retribution. And it's already lethal, but we get the Branded Fusion just for good measure. So that game was actually really cool. And really crazy. To say that they just went first and had no out to Maxi, that was incredibly close, because I forgot about Saint Azamina. So I guess the lesson is don't forget about Saint Azamina against White Forest. It's actually hard to beat. But then in the next set, they decided to sub in their Branded player, and they sent in Branded for a mirror match. So this is a cool Branded mirror match that we played. I win the coin flip again, lucky me, and I'm going first with this hand. So you can see they're also on Branded. This hand has one play, so it's a little bit sus, but it is a pretty reliable play. This is a play that really only loses to Ash. And it's High Spirits plus Sarania. We start in the draw phase, because we might as well play around draw. And the reason we send Titanic Lad instead of Albion here is because my hand isn't very good. I have a Droplets, and then these other two cards are basically bricks. Also, my opponent's deck is 60, so I'm not expecting Ash or Maxi, so I don't really want to play into it better by sending Albion. So we're gonna send the Titanic Lad. We're gonna be greedy. This sends Retribution, and now we draw. We draw Aliber, which is a really nice draw here. It's correct to normal summon the Aliber because this one's to search for Branded Lost. That way you are safe from Impermanent Veiler. Right? I said that this play, that High Spirits plus Sarania, was pretty good into everything except Ash. That's because we get to resolve Branded Fusion, and we can't get Veiled, right? Like, we can get an Albion Veiled or our Lubellion, but the Branded Fusion will resolve. But because we drew the Aliber, we get to basically stop even that, right? Because we're going to search for Branded Lost. If they have a Veiler or an Imperm, they don't really want to use it because they know we already have this. So now we're basically beating Imperm and Veiler anyway. It plays around Cyframe Geared Delta. Yes, it does. So here we have some creative lines available. Right, we could go for a standard line, banish this from the graveyard, and this for Lubellion. Because we have the Branded Lost, early, right? So we're not getting it from Lubellion, we're just getting it hard drawn, basically. We have some extra options. And because I have this branded sword in the hand, I think it's really strong to search Mercuria and then banish it from our hand. Now we can discard the sword and make use of it. Trigger the Mercuria. And then still on the chain under branded lost, I'm going to add back my Mercuria. Now we have a negate for something like Nibiru or whatever. And the card to search is Kit. The reason it's Kit is because we've already normal summoned. We're going to get Quam in the end phase. And there's no Albaz in the graveyard. So Cartesia can't be summoned. We've also already used Shrouded. And we already have Mercuria, so there's really process of elimination. There's like nothing else to search. We also have this dead card in the hand, which we don't mind putting back into the deck. If you didn't have Sword in the hand, would you have taken the basic line? No, probably still not. I probably still would have searched Mercuria and banished it. I probably still would have done that. So now we summon the Kit. And the card to add back here is actually the Banished Retribution. As crazy as that sounds, the reason it's this is because we're going to get Banishment in the end phase. We're going to get Quem in the end phase, and that's going to send us Albaz. And we have two targets, right? Two Albaz fusions to send for Retribution to shuffle back. And in this exact situation, branded in red might be even better, but I choose to set Banishment. I'm expecting a branded mirror match because branded is really popular, and it's obviously 60 cards. But branded in red is fine here too, because the Banishment target is the Albion, so if we do end up using this as the target, the Retribution doesn't have two graveyard fusions to shuffle, but it's a minor thing. Either of them is really strong. This is a game-winning end board. Almost always. Actually, no, the Banishment is the correct line, because this list is actually playing Lad. I was playing Lad today. Or yesterday. This was a yesterday's match. I'm playing Lad today, which is why it was actually correct to go Banishment. And I'm not going to flip it in the standby phase or the draw phase, because I have Mercuria in the hand already. So I'm going to get value out of the Mercuria first, then I'm going to flip the Banishment to summon the negates. Otherwise, this would just never work, right? You can't use Mercuria under Light and Darkness Dragon, because it chain blocks you. So my opponent does this, and reveals that they're also playing branded, and they add a Kit. We start with Alabra. This is the easiest Mercuria ever. It's the best Mercuria in the matchup, and it's also, we want to use it early so that we can flip our Banishment. It's technically playing into Talents when we could have used Dropless, but we don't care about Talents and Thrust because we're summoning Lad, and Lad negates everything. If they had a Bestial there, we could just flip Retribution and negate it. And then we get Sword, because we've already used Mercuria. Lad doesn't negate Lost, remember? It only negates spell traps or monsters, right? Doesn't negate spell trap effects. So my opponent reveals that they actually have a really strong punish for Lad, which is Droplets. Droplets is really good against Lad. So they negate my Mirror Jade and my Lad. Okay, so this was really interesting. My opponent special summons Kit, and then they don't activate the effect. They have one card in the hand, but they don't activate the Kit. Now, I didn't know why they did that. I thought maybe they misclicked. For some reason, I just couldn't imagine why they didn't activate the kit. It didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense. But actually, as soon as they activated the branded fusion, I realized why. It's because they obviously already had the branded fusion. From their perspective, I know what they were thinking, right? They were thinking, I don't want a different card. I want the branded fusion. You should still always activate this kit, because whatever you add, you could just put back on the bottom of the deck. Right? It's just, you should still activate it. There's nothing in the Graveyard of Banishment to recycle, but they should still activate it. Right? I literally could have Impom here that I could have wasted. Or leave it in hand for discard fodder. I mean, that is the better play. Absolutely, that is the better play. They should have just activated the branded fusion. But when they normal summoned it and did not activate it, what I should have done is activate the droplet and send a lad to half this effect, or half this attack, even though they didn't activate it, because that lets me retribution the branded fusion. The only explanation is that this is branded fusion in the hand. But I was caught off guard. It didn't really make sense to me. So now we can't retribution because lad chain blocks. I decide to let this go. Why do I not negate this with droplets? The reason I don't negate this with droplets is because you'll notice that my opponent does not have a hand, right? So Lubellion isn't an option. If they want to make Mirror Jade, they have to banish their Titaniclad from the graveyard, which is good for me. Or they have to banish their Albion from the field, which is good for me. So I decide to let it go. The only way that they can do anything is if they make Furious with Albaz plus Albaz, Rindbrum with Albaz plus Kit, or if they make Chaos with maybe the Lubellion. All of those options I'm fine with, because I could just negate the Chaos or whatever. So I decide to just let this resolve. They banish their Albaz, and they summon Chaos. Hi April, hello Dark Angel, hello. So now we flip this. I send both monsters because I want to negate 2 monsters here. I negate the Kit and the Chaos. The reason I don't negate the Albion is because they're going to tribute it for Lubellion anyway. So I would rather them have 1 monster that can't kill anything, right? 2 monsters that can't kill anything on my board. Rather than, if we targeted this, they would only have 1 monster that can't kill anything. So they go battle phase, and they walk into this. They protect, but they should not protect. Should not protect. They should just let it die. There's no reason to waste the opening. I guess getting Lubellion on the board is pretty good. Yeah, actually, getting Lubellion on the board is better. They should have used this. This was correct. This was correct. So then they summon, they get out branded Lost. And then at the end of the main phase, I use the Kit here, I mean the Mirror Jade, to send the Rindbrum. The reason why I have to do it in the end of the main phase... Why do I have to do it in the end of the main phase? There was a reason, but I forgot what it was. Right, it's because of something like this. They contribute Chaos for Lube? No, they can't. It has to be a dark monster. Yeah, it has to be a dark. I use the Quam here just to revive this because I'm not going to get another chance to use the Quam this turn, so this is free. I negate this. Yeah, this is why we had to do it in the end of the main phase, because I need to return my Mirror Jade from the field. They could have gone first action Titaniclad instead of Albion. So I needed to negate it, so I needed to have already used my Mirror Jade. Then they go for Chimera in the end phase. Or they go Dragostapelia, actually. Couldn't you drop your Mirror Jade to revive with Quam? Yes, I could. I could have done that. In this situation, I don't summon with the Rinvrum because they have Dragostapelia, which is just going to negate. So I just let the turn pass. And this is trivial to win. We drew Dropless, but we don't need it. All they have is one Dragostapelia. Right, nothing in their graveyard. So we can just super easily win here. Look at this chain, by the way. Albion, Quem Revive, banish Mercuria into Lubellion, trigger Albaz, Lubellion, Mercuria, and Branded Sword, Golden Sword Soul, summon Cartesia, fuse into Mirror Jade, fuse into Chaos, pop their two monsters, and they can't respond the entire time. Very nice. All this well into Lost, yeah, pretty good. Hello. Hello, chat. I have returned. Thank you, April, for making me feel better about my sleeping schedule. Wow, thank you. I know my sleeping is really bad. My schedule is insane. If I stay on the same schedule for like 3 days in a row, that is an achievement. Yeah, okay. Well, there's one more game to show. There's game 2 versus the branded opponent. Hello, hello. You'll have sleeping schedules? Exactly. I don't have a schedule. Okay. So, I'm now going second in the mirror match. Siding. What I did for siding is I took out my Nibiru's. I took out a couple Bestials, even though that sounds unintuitive because they're good in the matchup. What I wanted to do was have more duplication. Even going second, this card is crazy in the mirror. And I wanted to... What else did I side in? What's in my deck? Oh, I can't see my deck. I can't remember what I sided. I think I sided in the duplications, and then maybe... I'm not sure. I think I just sided out Nibiru's and Bestials for these. There's something else I sided in, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was Duster. Yeah, it was Duster and Heavy Storm. I think Duster and Heavy Storm are really good in the mirror match, because to some extent Branded is just a back row deck that Albion is going to set. They're probably going to hard draw something. Like Super Poly would be like one of the craziest cards in the matchup. Banishment. So yeah, I put in Duster. Anyway, but this is my opponent. Their hand is pretty good. Can't say that this is a bad hand. They're about to misplay it. They're about to play it a little weirdly. The way I would play this hand is... It's really awkward because the hand isn't actually that good into hand traps. I think what I would do is I'd Gold Shock, banish Mercuria, search for Cartesia, normal summon Cartesia, activate opening, discard the Albaz to summon Alubur, try to search for Branded Fusion. We have protection from Impum Veiler because of the Cartesia, and with the Albaz in the graveyard, we can still do something pretty good with the Branded in red. If there's like multiple Veilers we can still play, and if there's an Ash and Branded Fusion we can still play. that's how I would have played this. They start with the Gold Sark, which is fine. And they banish Mercuria, which is correct. But they search Shrouded instead of Cartesia here, which I thought was very strange. Did you side in Ash? I don't remember if I even played Ash. But if I did, I would have put it in, of course. Yeah. I think I did side in Ash, actually. As well. And then they use Shrouded, but they send Albaz from their hand to summon this. And at this point, I'm very confused. I don't know what the reason to do this would be. Maybe it's because they wanted to play around Ash by going for a Verte line. That's the reason to summon Shrouded on turn 1. But this hand doesn't make sense for that, because there's no normal summon. And you can't Verte after opening. So this was very strange. If they wanted to do this line to play around Ash, so they wanted to go Verte, they would have had to send the opening for the Shrouded and then normal summon the Albaz. But now they just summon, and they discard the Branded in red, which is also a little strange. I guess it's fine, but I would have discarded the opening. I wouldn't be in this situation if I was them, but if I was, I think this is more... this is the better discard. So now they're just going for a regular line, but they just have this Shrouded Dragon chilling on the board, which is very strange. What's interesting though is that this one card combo is still pretty good. Like, this is still pretty hard to beat sometimes. Because if they had Light and Darkness Dragon, this is going to be Light and Darkness Dragon, which is 3 negates, plus Albaz in the graveyard, with Rinbrum Revive. They're going to have a card in hand to discard because it's going to be searched with the Branded Lost. So that's actually pretty hard to beat. Fantastic for the mirror match if you draw Super Poly? Yeah, Super Poly would be really good. What's also really cool is that this is Albaz on the field, right? If we had Lanitus in our extra deck, which we don't, but if we had Lanitus, we could just start the turn by fusing away this and this into Lanitus, which is really funny. Or even more funny is let them summon Lad, then fuse the Lad and this Shrouded into Lanitus. If that happened, it would have been quite something. But I had cut it, I wasn't playing it today. I wanted to try playing Lad again. So, unfortunate. They also choose to let me go main phase anyway, they don't flip it into the standby phase. So this is a hand. Oh my god, can you even use opponent's Albaz? I didn't know that. Yes, you can. You can use entirely your opponent's board and nothing of your own, if you want to. Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, so here, I'm looking at this hand, and I'm like, okay, we technically don't have a lot of plays. We have 3 trap cards. If they play Lad, I'm expecting them to be on Lad, because the way they played the turn 1, I wasn't expecting my opponent to be playing perfectly. If this was like a good opponent, I mean, no offense to my opponent, but if this was a powerful branded player, if this was a strong, good branded player, I would be assuming that they don't play Lad. Otherwise you do flip it in the standby phase. So I'm thinking this is just chaos against a good player, but because this opponent already misplayed quite a bit, I thought it was very reasonable that they still have Lad, and they just didn't toggle on. That's also reasonable. So I'm still expecting Lad. I start with Aliber, because I want to sneak in this Aliber effect before the Lad is on the board. Then they chain. You can say it if your opponent was me. Yeah, if my opponent was you. But it's fine. My opponent is fine. They're not the worst player. It just misplayed. Maybe they were nervous. And then they do make Lad. So we have to deal with Lad now. I search Branded Fusion. So here's the question. I'm gonna let them resolve this. The Branded lost. They search for the Golden Sword Soul here. For some reason, not Makuria. I guess they only play one. Yeah, they only play one. They get the Golden Sword Soul here. How do you beat the Lad? How do you force it and then still resolve Branded Fusion? Who has the plan? What is the line? How do we activate 3 effects and then Branded Fusion? Keep in mind that the thrust is not live yet. They have not made the thrust live. First we use Shrouded. Okay. Then what? So use Shrouded. That turns on the thrust. What do we send with the Shrouded? Wait, I need time to think. That's fine. The game is paused. Retribution? Yeah, okay. Shrouded, discard Retribution. Brafu, thrust. Retri revives Brafu. That would work. That would work. That's 3 negates. And then Retri revives Brafu. Shrouded, discard Retri, Brafu, Retri revive. Yeah. That works. There's no reason to actually discard this from the hand, because we do have a second one in the deck. So, there's no reason to summon from hand. Doesn't Lad negate activation? Yes, it does. So we can still resolve Branded Fusion multiple times. Currently, the best answer is the Shrouded, discard Retri, Brafu thrust, Retri revives Brafu. But there is a better line. There is a much better line. I'm gonna wait and see if someone sees the better line. Can we also just Shrouded for Retri? Brafu, then go Battle Phase so we keep thrust. Right? Making use of the fact that this becomes lower than the Aluba after 2 negates. Do we have anything to Grave and Banish? No. Nothing. They also have nothing except Albaz and the Golden Sword Soul. The Mirror Jade is live, of course. But you're right, you found it, so we might as well carry on. We start by activating the Branded Fusion. This negates. Then we Shrouded, we send Retribution from the deck, no reason to send this one in the hand. This negates. Now it's too small, so what we can do is attack. This cannot negate our attack, because if they use this effect, Lad will negate it. Right, so it's not going to work. They also can't banish with Mirror Jade, because Lad will negate it. So it's not going to work. They have to just lose this negate here. And then in main phase 2, we get to add back Branded Fusion, resolve it, and resolve thrust, which would just be crushing, right? We have banishment, duplication, on top of full combo and thrust. It would be unlosable. Unfortunately, our opponent makes a really bad play here. Is they try to activate the Mirror Jade, forgetting that their Lad will negate it. They even send Titanic Lad instead of Rinbrum when they have Albaz in the graveyard. They can't use Albaz when we destroy Lad? No. Albaz does not trigger in the damage step. Right? Except during the damage step. So the float effect doesn't do anything yet. So they unfortunately threw their Mirror Jade effect as well. Now, here, I don't even attack. I don't even attack and kill this, because there's no point. I'm gonna let it sit on their board and be annoying. And now we just cook. Right? So this is why the lad on the board is crazy. Because you get a free activation of Rinbrum whenever you want. This activates in response to thrust. We chain, and this is a free way of outing the Mirror Jade. We get branded in white because we have our Albaz and our Mercuria in the graveyard. We discard our Shrouded because I'm just going to set this Retribution. Might as well set it because it's going to be crazy. Crazy good disruption. We get Cartesia. This also needs to be... yeah, we also needed the Albaz in the graveyard to turn on Cartesia. Does Retribution do anything with Lost Up? Well, it negates things that don't fusion summon, right? It can negate like Rinbrum or Kit or something. We're also going to remove this Lost. We're going to get rid of this Lost. I sent Titaniclad here because I'm going to want to summon Albaz in the end phase. Remember, we have not tried to fuse with Albaz yet. So I'm just going to set my 3 busted trap cards. We didn't return Alaba for banishment to make Chaos next turn. No, that's not what's happening. The reason we didn't return the Alaba is because we returned their Mirror Jade. We needed to bounce their Mirror Jade. So we need to add back Cartesia first, then we check out our Titaniclad. Now we can fuse. And because we haven't used Albion this turn, we can make Albion here. We haven't used it yet. So we're going to go Albion. And we're going to banish 2 Dark Dragons so that we can make Furious. And now still in the end phase, we're going to pop our Albion, plus their Shrouded, so that we can now trigger the Albion to set Branded in red. So we now have Dupe, Retribution, Banishment, and red. Every trap card. I told you, Branded is a back row deck. The reason why we don't pop the Lost yet is because just in case they play Lenitus, I want to pop this. Right, because they can fuse away my Furious. This doesn't do anything. If they summoned an Albaz and tried to fuse, we could just banish it with Mirror Jade. Now if they try to activate a Branded Fusion, what we can do is just pop in response, the Branded Lost. Maybe it was even better, actually, to pop in the standby phase. That way we can Retribution Branded Fusion. That might have been even better. But here we're going to do a pretty funny play. We're going to really punish them. It's pretty impossible to break this board with anything. Okay, so they summon out the Shrouded again. I'm thinking this is maybe Lenitus, because they went out of their way to summon it. We trigger to summon our Quam, get back our Makuria. Might as well. And then I want to get rid of this before they can make a Lenitus. So I'm going to revive my Albion, use away their Albaz into Chaos. And now Chaos can pop this Branded Lost. Normal Quam, send a Retribution. And then here we chain duplication to their Retribution to banish it, which is just crushing. It's absolutely crushing. And that's game over. Stop, they're already dead? Yeah, it was just kind of diabolical. But yeah, those were some good games. That was my WMGP match yesterday. We went undefeated.